Hello there, people of the internet. I want to talk about something that I know is going to make people upset because people seem to feel very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're very passionate about this particular subject. And that is the idea of using a military surplus rifle as a scout rifle. So this is my Mosin Nagant. And normally with a scout rifle, you would remove the rear sight and mount some sort of Picatinny rail here. This way you would have some sort of magnified optic. Now, that does not really work as well as like an actual receiver mount magnified optic, but it works well enough. But the idea is you have this bolt action rifle with zoomage capability to where you can make farther distance shots in the event that you needed to. But the idea is to try and find a outlet. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Try and find an outlet for these old school military surplus guns so they serve some sort of purpose in the roles of whatever Mad Max situation it is that we're thinking about here. The idea is, I like these military surplus guns, so I'm going to find a role for them to fill, and the scout rifle role seems to be the one that these rifles can fill. Scout rifle works, like the scout rifle concept works if you have other people in your team working with you, but if it's just you and you decide to go wandering around, like you leave your properly set up AR behind and you grab your Mosin Nagant with a scope on it so you can go out scouting, that's not a good idea. That is, in fact, a terrible idea. In the modern day context, even if you do have a team backing you up, in the modern day context, the idea of a bolt action scout rifle is not, it's not the play. If you really want a scouting area, the easiest way to do that would be a drone. Get yourself, one of those cheapo drones, learn how to fly it around, and you'll be able to scout basically everywhere that is around you in a bad situation. Especially if you have multiple drones. This way, if batteries go dead, one of them gets, I don't know, shot down, attacked by a bird. I mean, who the heck knows what could happen with something like that. But if you are out using something like this in a scouting party or just scouting on your own, the idea is you have this if you need it, and you can make relatively long range shots with it since it's got a full power cartridge that you can fire. You got the magnified optics, you can use it to see what's going on and what the opposition is doing in the event that you have to. And in the event that you find yourself in a situation where you need to, fire upon an enemy, break contact, get to cover, do whatever, this would be adequate for that. That's an antiquated ideology. That is not something that we should be thinking about in the modern day context, especially since we live in a world where ARs, properly, configurable ARs for a scout rifle setup, are so easy to come by. They're so easy to set up. The idea of a full power military bolt action rifle, those things are heavy. They are cumbersome. They are, in many cases, very long. They fire cartridges that are non-standard, like 8mm Mauser, 303 British, 7.62 by 54R. Even 30-06 is getting to the point where it's difficult and expensive to find. Anything beyond just hunting rifle ammunition. The idea of having a military surplus scout rifle is just not viable in the modern day, especially considering that there are significantly better options, such as using a drone. Or if you throw a scope on one of these things, if you have, somebody out there and they have thermals, they're probably going to see you a lot sooner than you see them. If they have night vision and you're out, at night with your scope, trying to do the best you can to navigate, odds are they're going to see you before you see them. If they have a drone and they manage to spot you trying to come up on them with your scout rifle, that would be a bad situation to be in. Not only that, but these old school military surplus rifles, whenever they were new, they had a standard of accuracy of 4 MOA. If you try making a long range shot with your scout rifle, and your rifle's a 4 MOA gun, that's not going to work out very well for you, and you need to be honest with yourself about how accurate your rifle is if you do decide to go this route. Don't go out and get a single 3-shot group and be like, all right, this 3-shot group is a 1-inch group, fantastic, this is a 1 MOA gun. That doesn't paint the full picture. Do 10-shot groups, then do 10 of those. Do 10-shot groups and see how big the group size is with each one of those shots. And you're going to see that your spread is actually quite a bit. And that will give you a more indicative idea of the kinds of accuracy that you can expect with your particular rifle. But I don't know why somebody would bother doing something like that, especially whenever we have ARs that are far more capable, far easier to set up in basically any configuration, including the scouting configuration. The ammunition is far lighter weight. It's a standard ammunition. You can carry a lot of it, even if you are just, say, carrying an additional 2 mags with what you have inside of the gun. That is going to be a significantly better option than carrying around a magazine pouch with a bunch of 7.62x54R inside of it on stripper clips for your 5-shot bolt-action rifle. The people that you are scouting against, odds are they also have magnified capabilities, and odds are they are also running some sort of modern firearm that is going to be a significantly better choice than what it is that you're running, and that is not something that you're going to want to engage, especially since a lot of these more modern firearms are on par with accuracy. If we're talking about the dirt cheap stuff, they're on par with accuracy, the same sort of accuracy that you would come to expect with these old school military surplus bolt actions. That's assuming you don't have one that's shot out, since it's 100 years old at this point. I think it's been through a good number of different battles and conflicts. These rifles have been through a lot. The military surplus bolt action scout rifle concept is not something that we can do in the modern day. Maybe if this was the 1980s, it would be viable. But once we got to the point to where ARs just became super accessible and super customizable, that's just not a concept that I would consider, something that people should be doing. In the modern day and age, nah, I'm just gonna have to say no on that one. I'm sure that's going to upset a lot of people because they're looking for some sort of viable operation that they could do with their military surplus bolt actions. But the reality is, in today's world, that is just not a viable system that you can take up against modern technology. You have to save it for either recreational purposes, survival purposes, hunting purposes, things like that, in which case it is absolutely a viable rifle that you can use. But it's not viable if you're taking up against if you're taking it up against people that are armed with modern technology. It's just not going to be a good day for you. So thanks for watching, folks. I hate to break your hearts on this one, but I had to say it. Somebody had to say it because I've seen it pop up a bunch. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off. Have yourself a fan. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garrett.
shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.